Over a 6-week period in summer of 1974, 4 girls went missing without a trace. The shocking abductions occurred at a time of fast-paced growth in Rawlins, Wyoming. Mining and energy production were in a boom period, and the population of the area exploded to over 11,000 people in a short amount of time. This massive change brought a surge in crime and less than savory behavior. Despite this growth, Rawlins still maintained a tight-knit community feel. So as these kidnappings began happening, it shook the core of the city. The first abduction took place on July 4th, 1974, from the Little Britches Rodeo at the Carbon County Fairgrounds. Christy Gross and Carlene Brown were friends. However, Christy was visiting from South Dakota. Carlene Brown was a local who just a year previous had graduated high school. The 2 young women, who were enjoying 4th of July at the fairgrounds, were snatched into a nightmare. It was as if they were swallowed into a void. Preliminary investigations determined the car they were using was found in the area, thus alluding to a kidnapping rather than a spur-of-the-moment trip out of town. Without a trace, 2 young women were gone. Sadly, this was just the beginning of a tragic summer. On August 4th, just a month later, 14-year-old Deborah Ann Meyer was walking to the Fox Theater in the heart of downtown Rawlins on the afternoon or evening of August 4th. Deborah Meyer never made it to the Fox Theater. Meyer was originally from Red Lodge, Montana. She was temporarily living in Rawlins at the time with extended family. Her mother was going through some health complications back in Montana. Some suspected that she had run away or was trying to hitchhike back to Montana, but no prior history of this behavior existed with Deborah. The 3 abductions within 1 month brought rising tensions and fear. Locals have stated that they didn't let their kids leave their houses that summer without supervision. Everyone saw their child becoming the next victim. Then the unthinkable happened yet again. Late August brought fair season back to Rawlins. Despite the frayed nerves of locals, the county fair might bring relief that the city needed. However, as the lights and sounds and smells of the carnival were in the air, and the festive atmosphere filled the summer night, 10-year-old Janey Banker was abducted near a food stand. Then, as quickly as the abduction started, they ended. Early investigations produced little in the way of credible leads, witnesses, or suspects, and everything had ground to a halt. Rewards were posted by local businesses, and search parties were sent out, but no signs were ever discovered. Then, a year later, on August 24, 1975, the remains of Janey Banker were discovered in a gravel pit, partially clothed. The scene yielded little to no evidence of a suspect or motive, but did show how she had died. And it was quite evident they were now dealing with at least one confirmed homicide. As time went by, the memories of the abductions weighed heavily on the area. Carnivals were canceled, and the fear continued, but the wounds began to heal. Then, in a shocking twist in 1983, the remains of Christy Gross were found near Sinclair, Wyoming, a mere 7 miles from Rawlins, again producing signs of a homicide. Even with 2 bodies found, there were still no concrete clues or leads, and the questions continued to swirl as to what actually happened. The 70s and 80s were a heyday for transient killers. Even in the short period of the 4 abductions, it wasn't even clear if all 4 girls were abducted by the same individual or if they were 4 separate crimes. Theories have been floated about notorious killer Ted Bundy, or even a duo of 2 men that were known for abnormal proclivities out of Utah. However, the main and most likely of the alleged suspect was Royal Russell Long. This guy fits every aspect of a horror movie villain you can think of. He worked as a long-haul trucker, carnival worker, and transient laborer who moved around frequently. It just so happened Long is thought to have been living in Rawlins at the time of these murders, and may have been working for the carnivals that were in the fairgrounds that summer. 3 of the 4 girls were taken from the very same carnival that Long could have potentially worked. In his trucking career, Long is also believed to have murdered his way across the western U.S. Many of his victims have never been found, and at one point he was even positively identified via a sketch for another fairground abduction in 1981 in Oklahoma. Eventually, he would be captured in 1984 in Warland, Wyoming on kidnapping charges, after one of his victims bravely escaped his house of horrors. He pled guilty to the crime in 1981 and was sentenced to 2 life sentences, but has never been formally charged in any of the other cases that he was linked to, nor has he openly discussed involvement in the Rawlins abductions or any other kidnappings or missing persons. He died in prison in 1993. The The 4 missing girls from Rawlins still weighs heavily on this community, even 50 years later. As we reflect on these cases, we think of these victims. To the recording of this video, the remains of Deborah Ann Meyer and Carleen Brown have never been discovered. Even though Christy Gross and Jaylene Banker's remains were found, we are no closer to justice. This is a tragic reminder of the nature of missing people. Annually, close to 900 missing cases are generated in Wyoming alone, with 80 shifting into long-term unsolved status. All 4 cases remain open, and despite Christy and Jaylene being laid to rest, Deborah Meyer and Carleen Brown are still considered missing. During a recent talk at the museum from law enforcement and investigators, there is a renewed interest in this cold case, and there is a serious attempt at collating all files and information to hopefully bring closure. I've included a link in the description below with the database of missing people in Wyoming. Check it out. Maybe you have seen one of these people and can help bring them home. This video is dedicated to Deborah Meyer, Carleen Brown, Jaylene Banker, and Christy Gross.